Everything was in line for Nintendo. Their competitors' press conferences weren't spectacular. They've got new hardware out. They were set up to just crush it at their Nintendo Direct presentation preference, whatever you want to call it, for this year's E3. And they didn't quite do that. Not that there weren't exciting things, but it wasn't incredible. And allow me to explain. So we're gonna go through this just item by item like we have all of the other ones. It opens up with a sizzle reel talking about showing extremely attractive people with really sexy cars. They're all just the coolest people you've ever seen, and they got Switches with them, of course, because they're all around and they're playing Nintendo Switch. And within that sizzle reel, they showed off FIFA 18, which we already knew about thanks to EA. And then they also teased Rocket League, which is an all-new development, which is awesome. Like, Rocket League on Switch makes a lot of sense and is perfect. And they get more into that later, but they just briefly showed Rocket League, and that was enough to be like, oh, awesome. And really, that's all you need to show on Rocket League, the fact that it's coming. And then it was coming soon, but again, they get into that later. First real thing they started talking about was Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which they first teased at the reveal event last January. And they did show off some gameplay of it, not a whole lot of it, not enough. I would have liked to have actual, like, start to finish battle, and it wasn't quite there. What I could get from it, it seemed to be, yeah, there wasn't a party at all. It only just had the main dude by himself, and the girl that's with him may or may not be his sword, or the spirit of his sword, or something akin to that. It was hard to tell. I don't know, her boobs were big and she didn't have no pants. Everyone else was concentrating on that. But from what I could tell, it seemed to be more a singular character adventure rather than having a party that you control. And then the combat they showed, they showed so little of it and moved on from it so quickly that I couldn't quite tell if it was the same kind of pseudo MMO style gameplay like the previous Xenoblade Chronicles had, or if it was more just turn-based. My first thought was more turn-based because he wasn't doing like the real-time movement or anything around the enemy, but again, that was just a very brief glimpse and they didn't show enough of it. The overall aesthetic was way more anime than it was previously, which is fine, whatever. The world still looked awesome. The creatures and everything around it was still impressive looking, so like all the aesthetics around it were very good. And surprisingly, it's still set for a holiday release this year. There's still time for it to get delayed, and I am on the mindset that it probably won't make it this year. I could be wrong though. I figured it was gonna be like early next year kind of pushback and they would announce it then, but no, they're still saying holiday, so alright, cool. I'll believe you, Nintendo. I'll believe you. And then they went into their first new game announcement, which was Kirby for the Switch. And this looked just wonderful. I liked what I saw here. It was another Kirby game, 2D style, with the 4-player co-op where the different enemies become your partners. It reminded me much of the Kirby game for Wii. What was it called? Kirby's not Epic Yarn, but the other one, Return to Dreamland. Remind me a lot of that one, but rather than having like 4 static characters be your companions, it was the same as like Kirby Superstar, where the different enemies are then your companions, like Sir Kilble or Waddle Dee or Knuckle Joe or whatever. They didn't show Knuckle Joe, but you know what I'm talking about. But what I liked about what I saw in there was that they kind of took like the Kirby 64 mechanics and that the powers can be combined, but rather than just being Kirby combining them, it's Kirby having one power and then their companions like adding their ability to Kirby's, and that's where you got like the combination moves. So it showed like ice bombs or fire swords or ice cutters. They had like a water thing going on too. Like, that's a cool mechanic. So the 3 companions that you have with you can add their powers to Kirby's, and I hope they can do it with each other too, because it's definitely co-op. They did show at least 2 players in there with the taking the Joy-Cons apart. Hopefully they have like some local 4-player, or even just like LAN switch LAN switch co-op too. I'm hoping for that. It is at least 2-player. It'll probably be 4 just based on previous Kirby trends, but I did like that. They also had like some co-op team attacks where they like grab each other's hands and feet and form a ball and start rolling forward. It looked pleasant. Right now, it's just called Kirby, and it just says 2018, but I really liked what I saw from the gameplay there. Next, they went to the Pokemon Company and just talked about what they're doing for the Switch, which they said was Pokken DX, which again, we already knew was coming since they had a Pokemon Direct last week, and they talked about how Pokken DX is coming to the Nintendo Switch. Fine, alright, cool. They said it's going to be playable at E3. I probably will swing by and try out Scizor, because Scizor is one of my favorite Pokemon. I want to see how Scizor plays. Darkrai looks freaking rad, too. So not really much of an announcement there. But they did say, and they literally said that, it was a guy at his desk talking to the camera, and one of the things he said was that a core Pokemon game is in development for the Nintendo Switch, which got a lot of people excited because of one key word, and that's core. When they say core, what they mean is not side game, not offshoot, not different take on it, but main series Pokemon game is in development for the Nintendo Switch. A lot of people immediately assumed it was Pokemon Stars, and we just have to continue to speculate because they didn't show anything about it. They just said Pokemon is in development. I mean, of course, some kind of Pokemon game is going to come to the Switch, whether it's a core game or whatever. They're going to do something for it, but they didn't have no title, no release date, just, we're doing it, guys. So it's really hard to get overly excited about that when there's nothing to be shown or said about that, man. Even just showing like a brief teaser of like what the graphics are going to look like or whatever, or if it's going to be like what the battles would look like, just, man, anything would have been nice. And they didn't have that. So, yes, it's in development. Yes, that's cool, but tempered expectations, and because there's nothing there to really like just grab a hold on and get excited over, other than the fact that it's coming. The same goes for their next announcement, which was Nintendo Switch is going to get Metroid Prime 4. Awesome, new Metroid game. I wasn't expecting it to be a Prime 4. I figured they would start like a new thing, or maybe continue off for where Other M finished off of, or maybe look into a possible 2D title or whatever. But no, they're continuing the Prime storyline, which is fine because the way Prime 3 ended, it was Samus's ship flying off, and then Silex's ship then chasing after her. So maybe they'll continue off from that. I liked Metroid Prime 3 quite a bit on the Wii. I had a surprising amount of fun for that one. Now, a lot of people lost their stuff over that because like, oh my god, there's a new Metroid game, it's coming to Switch. I mean, yeah, that's cool. I am excited for a new Metroid, but all we got was Metroid Prime 4 is in development. This is just a headline that they could have had in a press release, and we've gotten the same amount of information from it. Again, even like I would have been happier with just a CG trailer of just showing Samus and then being like Metroid Prime 4, or even just like a brief cutscene of Silex and Samus facing off or whatever. You didn't even need to show gameplay, but no, they had just title screen or logo or whatever and just said in development. No date or anything. So again, yes, cool that Metroid is in development, but it's hard to get excited over the nothing that they showed. It was just a logo. But then they go on to some more actual gameplay of their next game, which was a Yoshi game, which is currently just titled Yoshi, much like how Kirby was just titled Kirby. It seemed to be a continuation of Yoshi's Woolly World, because he kind of had that aesthetic look to him, but it wasn't about wool, it was cardboard. It was like the overall design and look, but the big thing was that it was like a 2D platformer style game, but there are two sides to each stage, and you're only looking at one side at a time. And if you do a ground pound, then it flips, and now you're on that side or that path of this 2D stage. So like if there's if you come up to against a wall, you can flip it and then look over on the other side to see coins. So it's like kind of reminds me of Super Paper Mario, where it was 2D and you could flip it to 3D, only this time it's all the way around. But it was two-player co-op. It showed the green Yoshi and the red Yoshi working together. It looked lovely and pleasant. coming in 2018. Okay, cool, we got a year for it. It looked nice, so there's more cool platformer games coming for the Switch in 2018. I'm glad they did show off some gameplay on that. After that, they then went into Fire Emblem Warriors. This is what I was really wanting to see more of, because I liked Hyrule Warriors a lot, so I'm excited for Fire Emblem Warriors. I'm bummed that Fire Emblem Warriors, they're only including characters from like the start of the series and the most recent games with nothing in between, but that's besides the point. We're just focusing on the press conference. And so Fire Emblem Warriors comes up. Yes, show me some Fire Emblem Warriors gameplay. What can we expect? And what they showed was cutscenes and basically a lot of characters that, again, we pretty much already knew were going to be in there and coming, especially thanks to the Famitsu magazine having a lot of these characters already there. The voice actors are back. Yup. That's pretty much it. Didn't show a single damn thing for gameplay. The original reveal 5 months ago had more gameplay than what this did. It's still set for fall 2017, which is awesome. Again, that's another game I just assumed was going to get pushed back and not have great development time for it. But no, still set for fall, so alright, cool. I'm glad it's still coming soon, but damn it, show me anything on it. How's the game gonna work? How's the weapon trio gonna work in this game? And they didn't have that at all. It was just, here's our character models and they're talking. Again, that's not exciting. We already knew about that. We know about characters. You could just state what characters are. Just show us some gameplay. Show us things that you can't describe in a press release, and it wasn't there. After that, it was the Zelda section, which included the reoccurring theme for E3, which was Skyrim. So more Skyrim. It's just them saying, like, you know, if you saw Bethesda, you saw that Skyrim stuff is coming to, or Zelda stuff is coming to Skyrim. Again, I understand why they showed it here, because not everyone watched the Bethesda ones. A lot of people just want to watch the Nintendo ones. So they just had to reiterate there. And it was super brief, but I just thought it was funny that Skyrim is yet again showing its head in another press conference. But then they started to detail the DLC coming to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which was the Hero's Path mode, which they didn't quite elaborate on in the demonstration itself. I think they talked about it already in other press releases, but they didn't really show it here. They did show off Trial of the Sword mode a little bit, which just looked like a long kind of gauntlet where Link is naked and starts off with no weapon. So you start off and you find a tree branch right away. So I think that's just a mode where it's just a gauntlet of starting with the worst weapon possible and working your way up to the best while taking out enemies along the way. That's my guess, but it looked intense, like a lot of combat was happening there, so they showed off that a little bit. Then they also showed off Master Mode, which is going to be hard mode for Zelda, and I was actually really pleased with what they're doing there, because it wasn't just all the enemies are slightly harder and you take more damage. It was some actual fundamental gameplay differences. For example, it showed Link fighting a stone talus, and that stone talus's health was regenerating, which is a big deal because there's not a whole lot of windows to actually damage the stone talus. So if you can expect that for all the larger bosses, that'll make it harder. But not just that, they showed off enemies having more difficult tactics. For example, Link was nearby the river lake area in the first plateau, and a bokoblin saw him and, you know, blew his horn to alert his enemies. And they weren't just nearby at a camp. Suddenly these bokoblins show up on rafts floating from octoballoons from the river, and they start shooting at Link with their bows. Like, just, that didn't exist in the game before, so just new tactics were coming, so I do like what they're showing there. And then it showed Link facing off with a gold Lionel, and he was very threatening looking. Had some new masks in there, or new headwear for Link to use, like the Korok mask to help find Koroks. Then they also briefly teased the Champion's Ballad, which is the second DLC pack coming sometime this holiday. And there's amiibo for all the Guardians. So Mipha, Daruk, Urbosa, and Cass, all of them, they're getting their own amiibo, which is cool. I'm intrigued to see how that'll affect the game itself when you tap them on there. Maybe you can get their outfits or something. I don't know. That'd be cool. But that one's coming holiday. The Masters mode, or the first DLC pack is coming June 30th, which is super soon. So, detail some of this DLC stuff. and seeing it in action was good. But again, we knew about the Zelda DLC, but this is just more specifics on it. Alright, that's fine. Then they went in and teased Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which again, not everyone watched the Ubisoft one, so I understand why they showed it here. Nothing really new here that Ubisoft didn't really show. Again, it was just super brief, and they just kind of showed off like, hey, this game's coming, August 29th, get excited. Then they went into some actual details of Rocket League from the developers themselves. Which, it's Rocket League on Switch. What more do you want? Well, how about cross-network play? That's a very cool announcement. The fact that no matter what platform you're playing it on, you can play with others. PC versus Switch, Xbox One versus Switch, whatever. So, good on you, Rocket League. Oh, and the Switch version of Rocket League lets you get Mario and Luigi hats. And they said exclusive battle cards as well, but they didn't elaborate at all. But it's Rocket League on Switch. You don't need to say a whole lot from that. And then we come to the end of the Direct. Yeah, it's the end already. And they showed off even more of Super Mario Odyssey, which Mario Odyssey already looked excellent from the initial reveal 5 months ago. And this reveal made it look that much better. Mario's hat can possess damn near anything, and that was weird. For example, it starts off by showing the fact that Mario possessed a goddamn Tyrannosaurus Rex. T-Rex Mario. You could possess a Goomba, you could possess real people, possess a taxi car, possess a fire hydrant, possess booze, bullet bills, almost anything. You just throw your hat on there, and then Mario leaps into it, and now Mario is that thing. So rather than giving Mario different like fire flower power-ups or anything, it's Mario possessing them. Which was just more exciting stuff for Mario Odyssey. And like that game already looked cool, and this is like another facet of gameplay that they got to reveal, and it was good. It was, again, pretty brief. Pauline was singing from the original Donkey Kong game. I guess she's the mayor of New Donk City. Hey. But that was it for Nintendo. And there were exciting things in there, yes. But overall, I think the short time limit hurt them more than anything else. If they spent more time, and just a little bit more time, even if it was just like 5-10 minutes more total for the overall runtime, just to elaborate more and be able to show what we can expect from Fire Emblem Warriors, a brief snippet of Metroid Prime 4, a brief snippet of whatever Pokemon game is coming to the Nintendo Switch. I would be way more pleased with the Nintendo conference, but that just wasn't the case. And I think the reason is they're saving a lot of their stuff, and they also didn't have anything for the Nintendo 3DS at all. They said Nintendo 3DS support is still coming, don't worry about it, and they didn't show that at all. So even like a 3DS section would have been nice to see. And I think the reason being is that they're saving a lot of their stuff for their Nintendo Treehouse coverage, which is happening right now as we speak. Like they immediately went into more in-depth Mario Odyssey actual gameplay as soon as the conference was done, which looked great. But they're saving all their even more announcements, 3DS stuff, just more tidbits or whatever for their Treehouse over the next few days. And because of that, their initial Nintendo Direct press conference, whatever you want to call it, suffered. So I felt like it was still very par for the course for Nintendo. And it was a lot of kind of balancing each other. Like the new stuff for Mario Odyssey was awesome. Showing some Kirby stuff, good. Showing some Yoshi stuff, good. Not showing Fire Emblem Warriors was weak. Not really having anything more to elaborate on for Metroid and Pokemon. I felt like that was on the weak side, and it kind of made it all balance out. But then overall, you just can't help but feel like, oh man, it was still kind of weak. So all that considered, overall, Nintendo's conference, C-. Just on par for Nintendo, what you can expect from them, but just on the weaker side because I don't feel like they showed enough. Their short runtime made the whole thing suffer. That isn't to say I'm not excited for Pokemon on Switch or not excited for Metroid Prime 4, because that's not the case. But it was just, it wasn't enough meat on them bones because they wanted to keep it skinny on purpose. And I would love to see more. Even some Nintendo 3DS stuff would have helped a lot too. So, because that, I felt like Nintendo's was one of the weaker ones. Sorry. So, without that said, I mean, shockingly, I mean, alright, everyone wants to talk about who won E3 because that matters to some people. It shouldn't, but, you know, it's fun, spirit of competition or whatever, so in the likes of appeasing those who care about it, fine, Ubisoft won E3. They had the best presentation. It was excellent. That's such a weird thing to say, I know, but Ubisoft really did have the best overall presentation, the best surprises, and the best game show. They did a really good job of showing off their games and showing off the passion from developers about it. And another thing I want to talk about before I leave is that I kind of had these shower thoughts about E3 and presentations, and I thought about making this its own video, but whatever, I'll just tack it onto here. And I was thinking to myself about how I think people can ruin their own E3 with their cynicism and their disappointment because of their own personal predictions. And I think their predictions can ruin E3 for them. Like if you go into a Nintendo presser and you say to yourself, Nintendo's going to show off a 2D Metroid, they're going to show off Animal Crossing, and they're going to show off Smash for the Switch. And then if none of those things happen, then you can just be like, oh, what the fuck, Nintendo? You didn't do any of the things that I wanted! And then you think they suck. But then again, if they do show those things, then those people can just be like, I was right. No surprises here. Nintendo sucked. Nothing new. And it's kind of a double-edged sword. There's no winning when that happens. And so I think when people have those predictions on what they personally want to see and they don't see what they want, they think it sucks. Rather than taking it as a whole and realizing that there are games that do appeal for other people. And you have to take it as a whole, not just what you personally want. That's not fair to any one company. So that's just another shower thought that I had. Like, I think people can get angry at E3 or get angry at video games or hate on things just by having their own predictions. But I get why people do them. Because they're fun. It's fun to hypothesize or dream or have a wish list or whatever. I mean, I would have loved to see more Project Octopath stuff at Nintendo's Direct. I'm not going to knock off points because they didn't show that, but that's what I would have liked to see. Just more elaboration on that. I'm not going to hate on them because they didn't announce a new F-Zero. I mean, I feel like Nintendo gets the worst brunt of this because they have so many IPs and so many awesome franchises that so many people love. It's impossible to make all of them at the same time and like make all those people happy. It's impossible. They have too much stuff. Damn, Nintendo, you're too good at your jobs for having too many things. That's not fair to them. So, just some food for thought. I'm not accusing you of doing that or myself or whoever, but there are definitely people out there who expect too much, and when they expect too much and it doesn't happen, they get unreasonably angry about it, and it's just not fair. That's all. What did you think of Nintendo's? I mean, I know what you saw. Was there anything there you saw that really blew you away? Because like exciting announcements like Metroid and Pokemon, but without it being shown, it's hard to get blown away. No real bombshells, I thought. Overall, all of the E3 press conference, no like mega bombshell announcement that just crushed it this year. I mean, the most exciting one to me was probably the new Monster Hunter World because it looked awesome, but you know, that's me. So you'll have to let me know what you think, and then be sure to go back, if you haven't, watch the other press conference recaps too, and my thoughts on there. And then I'll have some more E3 coverage, probably not on this channel because I don't want to flood your feeds on this channel from E3 stuff because I know plenty of other people are doing that. So try to subscribe over to my gameplay channel, where my side channel, ProJared Plays, youtube.com/ProJared Plays. Over there, I'll be getting lots of hands-on with E3 stuff, all Nintendo stuff, Monster Hunter Worlds I'm getting a demo of, and plenty of anything else I can get my hands on. I'll definitely do that. So subscribe to that channel, watch the other videos, and that's it. last note I want to say is sincerely thank you for watching my recap videos. It means a lot. I really appreciate the feedback. I really appreciate that other people appreciate this. It makes me really glad. It makes me want to do these things, and it really means a lot to me when it's something that you enjoy watching. So that's all. Thank you guys. More E3 to come over on the gameplay channel. Otherwise, we'll be doing this again next year.